Okay. Now we're discussing us possibly doing sessions together, and
We're
he's
not
gonna.
we're not possibly doing sessions together. We are going to do sessions
Oh,
together.
okay,
Don't
okay,
chicken
okay.
it out.
Awesome.
We are seeing this journey through because we're going to do good stuff. And I
Okay.
agree. I mean, I think that what I'm trying to say is that what always happens to me is I try to tell people, I go, it's not that I'm saying that there's no value, and it's not that I'm even saying that the value is in any way, shape, or form diminished.
Yes.
It's just to say, is it possible to say that there's a possibility that the way CW is describing it is the way that it should be described and understood because it comports the closest to the actual state of affairs. And number two is the best working model for people to be able to utilize these technologies without running into some problems, some almost philosophical problems
Well, this is the
about
part that you
how they're
might
understood and constructed.
understood. This is the part you
Right.
might not understand. Whereas C.W. Chander, you might think that everybody's going to have an opportunity to hear this. Could you possibly imagine that some people are going to hear different words than the words that everyone else hears?
Yes. No, I'm
Do you know what I
aware of that.
mean?
Yes, absolutely.
Like, what did you just hear? That's the. You
Believe
know
you
what I'm
me,
saying?
appreciate.
And
Yeah,
then,
absolutely.
and do you think not that the person who is not ready for any of this, for somehow when they start to listen, something's going to go wrong and where they can't listen to it at all, and they're just going to go to the next thing?
Sure, sure. And some of those people are just gonna have a random computer freeze, and then they're going to attribute to that random computer freeze some meaning. And the way that what my concern is that that person who believes that the energies can affect the technology or that everything has a meaning and therefore when they're on their way to work and the car accident happens 3 blocks ahead of them that's an omen and that scares them. I just need to live in a world where I think it's healthiest and safest if people have a paradigm where they can turn the magic on and they can also turn the magic off.
So
And
I think then what's going to be really clear, what will be clear for us to do for sure is to make sure that we have that public service announcement before, after, and during. You know what I'm saying?
right.
Do not believe a word of what you were hearing. We're just exploring C.W.
Yeah,
Chanter's consciousness. We're
yeah.
just
So
exploring
yeah,
his dream state just to see what will come up. We did it before. Remember when you went to the Simpsons? I mean, you tell me about the Simpsons,
that was
because
crazy.
I could just say, okay, you guys, let's quit asking questions about the nature of reality and as a whole. We're just going to take people under and give them the most amazing sessions that you could imagine. You want to end up on an island with a bunch of beautiful girls? Is that where you want to go? Okay, here we go.
Just don't record it.
Do you understand what I'm
Believe you
saying?
me, my brother. Listen, I'll tell you something.
I did a session
Have,
like that with someone.
let's believe you me. Having experienced what I experienced in Springfield, I tell you, Hank, I could taste the beer. And when I could taste the beer, I could taste it. It had this quality that was part and parcel of the fact that it was rendered as animated material. Like I don't know how to describe. It was the zaniest experience, one of the zaniest experiences, most psychedelic experiences that I've ever had in my life.
To be clear,
So,
everyone, in our session, he wanted to go to Springfield, Illinois, where the Simpsons
oh
live.
yeah,
He went to the Quickie Mart and bought him some Duff's beer. It was ice cold, and
it
he
was
drank it.
ice
And
cold.
he is now telling you what it tastes like, just so to catch everyone up who missed that
Listen,
session.
I tell yeah, no, absolutely. You could review the session. The only thing that I'll say about the session is the following: is that at several key points, I achieved this uh, uh, exteriorized state where I was experiencing these things. I swear to you, as just like you can wake up from a dream and the reality of the dream still stays with you and your heart is pumping. I mean, I experienced these things. I mean, I know what it's like to walk around the the Simpsons environment, and not in a way that was constructed by uh, improvising off what I'd seen about computer graphics. It was not 3D computer
Exactly.
graphics. It wasn't 2 dimensional. It was 3 dimensional, but I can't tell you. And the same thing when I saw the subconscious mind, it was just, I mean, the whole thing was fucking redonk. But the question is this, is that for me, coming out the other session, at the end of the session, it's almost like feeling like a rogue new ager, like, because there seems to be people that seem to be like, the only way they can understand what Chanter is doing with the experience is to, it's almost like being accepted as being gay. You want to say to your parents, I'm gay. And you want them to be able to say to you, we accept this about you. What you might not want to hear, but what a lot of people do end up getting is that you feel that way because you were molested, or mommy didn't hug you enough, or I should have breastfed you, or I know that dad was distant, or you're just angry, or you'll do anything to cause a stir or cause a confrontation. That's not true. You need to pray on it. You're possessed by a demon. Like, you're not accepting the reality of the person's experience, but having to understand it in their.
And so how important
So it
is
seems
it for
like,
everyone to accept you?
well, it's not even
I
that they
mean,
that
I'm a
they
Scorpio and I like to be liked, but at the same
right,
time, you guys, listen, anyone who comes to listen to our session, we're not charging them. They're going to
right,
hear it
right,
for free. We can put on there, this is for entertainment purposes only. It
right,
doesn't really matter. I promise you. No matter what and it's there. You go back and read. It's like, wow, he actually did right here. Don't believe anything. He actually said it over and over and over. But people still listen and say, it resonates with me because that's all I ask. If it resonates with you, and it's always something very positive. It's always something very loving, something very service to others as opposed to, something that's going to make them want to go do something heinous or something that's going to, and I tell
right.
you, the stuff that is too much, I edit it. I edit out so much stuff. And the healing, I edit all that stuff. It's nobody's business what type of disease or whatever they're going through that you need to know. That's what those other people are. The ones who are charging $700 and $800 per session. Do you know what I'm saying? And well, whatever. I'm not going to speak on them. I said, well, they'll charge you all that money and then tell you that they've healed you and they've done this and that or whatever. I don't play that. I'm in Texas. You don't, you don't jack around like that in Texas.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? This is guided visualization. It is not hypnosis. I am not a PhD. And, this is for entertainment purposes only. But regardless to whatever label that you put on it, when the people hear, I mean, listen, when I would, 50 students in a class, and we'd all lay down and I'd do a guided visualization with them, and then they come out of it, and I just wanted to get them a positive message from their higher self or from their inner voice or whatever, and all of a sudden they're like, well, my mom, she died 2 years ago, and she just told me she was so proud of me, and she is so happy, and this, that, and the other, and she said all these things, and they're like, wow, Hank, that was the most amazing thing that could have ever happened to me in my life. Or I'm 36 now, but when I was 18, I had an abortion, and or I lost my baby, and my baby was 18 years old, and he was saying, I love you, and I just wanted to not do a whole life. I just wanted to come through real fast to see what it was like to be with you, and blah 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 blah. And and you hear all these different things that come through. Do you have no idea
Right.
how many people are sending me private messages, you know what I'm saying, these things of how it's helped them and it's made
Yeah. Yeah. No,
major
absolutely.
sense for them. That's the reason. All the person who comes on and say, well, you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do this, and why do you ask questions about yourself and this, that, and the other, wham, boo hoo, whatever. I don't care. You're getting this for free. Just turn away from it if you don't like it, and it's all said. It's all said. This is for entertainment purposes.
Right.
Don't believe a word that you say. I'm looking for someone who's brave enough to, I tell you, if we start talking about the other side of the moon or going to an underground base, I promise you will be in shock as to notice how all of a sudden the static on this thing will go. It'll get so loud you won't hear a word of it. You know what I'm saying? And that's another thing. When you're doing sessions and you're talking about certain subject matters and the powers that be don't want you having that conversation, I tell you, all of a sudden you have static, 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 static. Why does it do that during those times? I don't know. I didn't program the program to do whatever it does. It just did it. And so when you listen to it,
Right.
you tell me why it does that. Because it's not real. It's not real. Okay, it's not
I mean,
real.
look, I mean, I have no idea. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's. I know. Listen, I tell people all the time. I go. I know the part of the journey. I think is knowing that there's an explanation, a reasonable explanation for this. But if you know in the moment that the reasonable explanation is not the reasonable explanation, and the reasonable explanation to understand is that the powers that be are interfering, then I think that's the way it is. Believe you me, I've had conversations where people have said, "Oh, that wasn't supposed to happen, and that's why, or we're making somebody angry, and that's why you're experiencing these data
Well, I
interruptions."
know what I know for sure. Your thoughts. Well, for me, my thoughts and my beliefs make my reality. Do you understand? And so I try not
Well,
to buy
yeah,
into that, but I do absolutely know whenever certain subject matters, it was something that I noticed after the fact. Like, man, as soon as I started asking about this, that, and the other, all of a sudden it just got really, really, really bad. The static of it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, oh, okay. And so, hey, I had one session that I sent out to someone. I know I'm not going to keep you up all night here, but I did send a session to someone and they were in the government. Can you hear me?
yeah, no, I can hear you.
Um, it never made it to them. And they said, hey, we got this card. I said, hey, it's inside the card. I taped it in. And this person, and then so I said, whoa. So I couldn't figure out what happened. And so I made another
I don't
copy.
make some double. See, now you break it up.
Exactly.
Now the ironic. There you go. Right? You know
So
what I
I
mean?
made another copy and I sent it to them in a different banner and they got it. But then I had another person who has no idea asking any of them, and I nonchalantly asked, "Hey, whatever happened to the one that I sent to California?" He said, "FBI." I said, "What?" I said, "What? What'd they do?" He said, "Confiscated." Internet connection problem here, and he said confiscated, and I was like, "Oh, whoa, okay." And I said, "If I send another one, will it get there?" They said yes, and who knows? But the only reason why I'm telling you that is, we have to. I mean, you're an attorney, right?
Yeah,
Attorney at law, right?
for the time being, right?
So, I mean, I'm not putting a gun to your head when we do these sessions. You're doing it of your own free will and volition, correct?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And the only thing we're going to do is ask questions. I'm going to ask. We'll make a list of questions. Then I'll guide you in. And then
Right.
maybe we can catch up with some of the people who had already had connected with you already or what have you to see what they have to say. And when we come up with questions, I want you to really, you're a brilliant man. Think about what you're going to ask. You know what I'm saying? Just think. I already know I got a billion of them and we'll think
Sure, I
and
am
we'll
brave.
put them together
Look, okay,
and
so
then we'll see what comes out of it. We'll see what comes out of it.
listen, hey, God bless. I'm down. See, part of the thing that I thought was good was because what had happened was that we had our session, and then post the session, you and I had a couple of back and forths, as we've already described, previously, talking about these points that came up, these points of difference, these points of contention.
I know, but
And
I
when I
think you're
saw
a
you
bit
come out,
more sensitive than me.
maybe it's quite
No,
possible.
no, really, really.
Well, listen, brother,
I'm serious.
we start being sensitive, and what do I need to do to have people like me? We'll lay down the cat some other time. But so where was
I'm
I going?
serious,
Oh,
dude. That's not what, because I wasn't thinking any of that, and I was like, "What?" As I'm listening to you, I was like, "No, no, I'm sorry, CW, you had it wrong. I wasn't thinking any of those things. I'm very patient, dude.
it's
When
quite
it,
possible. Well, that's the thing about text. That's one of the things about text that is so problematic is that if two people talk face to face, even via the mediation of a
yes,
webcam, there's articulations, there's emphasis, there's gestures. You can tell easier sarcasm and when you make these simple word choices in a text and a video
yes,
comment or a YouTube comment, There's just so many ways for number one, a person has the ability to read that three or four times in the same space it would take them to listen to someone say the same thing. And so they're able to then, fantasize about it or pontificate or import things. And I think some of it may have been just my fear that I had. Pissed off is not the word, disappointed is not the word, but just, that there was a framework where you were like, I did the session with CW Chanter and it was amazing. And
You
there
froze.
were still, you know what I mean? Or,
Yes, yes.
you
You sort of froze while you were saying that or
know what I'm
whatever,
saying?
but I do understand what you're saying for sure.
It's the powers that. So when I saw you come out and say that you want to do more sessions like you had been able to do with Lars, but obviously that journey had come to some sort of temporary rescue. Great, because
I have no idea
I
what's going
could
on.
do
Why you're
this. You have to understand that I'm CW Chad. Am I totally breaking up?
yeah, I don't know why all of a sudden it just started doing that.
It's time. Well,
For
then
you to
it's
go.
time to end. It's time to bring it to a close, and we'll resume the conversation again when we do our next session.
So listen to this then. I do understand, and just to be clear, I was never offended or anything like that or whatever. I just knew once I had an
Good.
opportunity to
Okay.
communicate with you that it would make sense to you, whatever it was, whatever we couldn't put in
Right.
text.
So now let me ask you a question.
And I
Is
wrote a
it possible?
piece, remember? And you brought up the piece. I wrote a piece about in text, and you're like, "Oh my God, Hank, you're so correct."
I can't. You've been correct about a lot of things. I get a lot out of
I'm
your
just saying,
messages.
you know, that's what you
Yeah.
said to me because I wrote a piece about misunderstanding people misunderstanding text and
Oh yeah.
the
Oh,
words. It
absolutely.
was just
Oh, absolutely.
basically. So go ahead, ask me what you're gonna
Yeah.
say.
So here's the thing: is it possible that I am correct, and that what should happen is not that CW Chanter should come into Hank's understanding of accepting that this stuff is for real, and not just psychological manifestations or sequela, or however you want to describe it.
I call that
And is it
semantics.
possible? Is it possible that what is supposed to happen is that you need to come over to my understanding and accept the fact that, hey, these people could just be seeing things in their imagination.
Well, you'll be the only one seeing it, so I'm just asking the question. So I'm
Right, right.
freeing,
But
I'm freeing myself. I always say that. I don't you realize that? I always
right.
say that's my saving grace. I just ask the questions, you guys. As he's the one who's saying all of it. You can believe it if you want to. I wouldn't believe a word of it if I were you. But go ahead.
But 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 you do believe it. There's a lot of this information that is resonating with you, right?
A lot of disinformation that resonates with me. Oh man, just when the conversation gets good.
A lot of this, yeah, I know, right? A lot of this information does resonate with you, and that you do, you believe a lot of this stuff. Like really, like let me ask you a question: are the blue avians real?
Are the blue avians real?
Are they real? Do they exist?
Well, when you ask me, from my understanding, is when I asked what were those blue orbs, they say they were the spheres. They didn't say that they were the avian. The avian are the bird-like ones.
Right.
I had a dream about the blue the blue one coming down and they were doing some stuff and it was really interesting. I drew the picture of them years before that. And then even years before that I drew them. Are they real? I have never in my life physically had an interaction with them that I can recall. So, for the sake of what, sanity or whatever, I can say, well, I can't say that they're absolutely real. Now, if you ask me, are the spirit beings real? I would say yes, because I caught those on video. And I see them floating over my bed, just fucking hovering there, almost like they're waiting for me to fall asleep so I can go and get my behind to work. And, that's a whole nother story. But you tell me, are they real? I don't know. I
Yeah.
have no idea. They come,
Okay.
people in the sessions always say that they're around me or whatever, and I caught them on videos. And you know what I'm saying? I would say they're more real as far as the bird people or whatever. I hear all the people talking about it. I hear people in session talking about these blue birds, but I never met them. I never met them. Even Lars, the one thing we never put out before, he has had face to face touching, according to him. You know what I'm saying? And so that's a whole nother story within itself or whatever.
Whole nother story.
Not with me. Now, do I see them out? Do I see the ships outside my house all the time? Have I seen lots of ships? Yes, absolutely. Literally over my house. Slow motion, no sound, just like almost like they're on guard duty or something. You know what I'm saying? Just, and I'm like, there's certain things you can do. If you go out and you sing, there's a few things that'll draw them in. You can, is that real? Every time, yes. I say those are real as well. But, you'd have to be here. You'd have to see it for yourself or whatever. Like I said, come on, dude, there's people saying that there's people with noses like elephants. There's so people
Yeah,
got
yeah,
the
yeah,
gills, the three fingers, the opposing thumbs. I've heard all of it. I'm the biggest skeptic that there is. You know what I'm saying? That's why. Why do you think I make sure that I put on there? You don't believe a word of this. You hear me? Don't
yeah.
be
Right.
trying to put it on me. Why do you think I always say I'm the one asking the questions? I got the easy job. I got millions of questions. You're the one who's going to be in the hot seat because you're going to be the one who's induced. You're the one. Hey, I drew pictures of what you saw. I drew pictures as I was lit. When you were Mark, you were a human being and you were coming to be loyal. See, you're the
Right.
one who said all those things. I didn't say that.
Yeah.
You
No,
said it.
absolutely.
You said the pyramid had a panel down, and then further up it was another panel, and then that's where the glass doors where you can go inside and all the stuff that's going on. I drew the extraterrestrial with his three long fingers, but then he had these thumbs or opposing thumbs, the terracotta floor, the greenery, the glass doors, all of it was verbal. Most people get everything telepathic. You're the only one. Oh my God, it was verbally. They were literally talking to me out loud. You had clairaudient going on. You had
It
clairvoyant
was
going
it was
on. You
it was
had
beyond. I
clairsentient
mean, it,
going
like
on.
yeah, it
Your
was
taste was
nuts.
going on. You had one of the most awesome sessions. You were one of the first persons that people didn't like the session too. You know what I'm
I can
saying?
believe that.
I'm
Yeah.
sure because they probably it's too much. They know you. They're like, he ain't making that up. Do you know how many people are going to be freaked out listening to you do this
Well,
because
no,
they
yeah,
know what a skeptic you are? They're going to be like,
no, yeah. But
oh,
what's so funny to me is that it's amazing. I think the whole point is this is I think you hit upon it
okay, I hope so.
is we do things, and it's like this concept of co-creation. You can have your intent, and you can control as best you can your participation in the dance, but there's still all the other people on the floor observing, who will come to their own conclusions and tell their own stories about what they observed. So it's like, but it's funny. Everyone comes from a
Well,
different perspective. I'm trying to find, as you know, I'm trying to do the impossible. I try to exist in truly multidimensional living. I'm trying to exist in the world of the physical world of the skeptic, and at the same time live in the be access to the world of the mystic. And so doing that, there's always a feeling of needing to constantly define or and where there's adhesion, and also where there's distinction. Do you know what I mean? And I just always want to be honest with people, because you don't want to let anybody down, and I don't want to be perceived as a liar. I'd hate to have someone tune into a guided visualization session that I'm doing, where I might be talking about extraterrestrial life forms or communion with spirits beyond the veil, and then have someone then tune into one of my regular shows and be like, "Oh, it was a crock," or is he? What's he doing? Is he
See, because
schizophrenic? Is he
because
trying
for
to trick
you,
us?
you know, you might be one of those black and white type of persons, you know what I'm saying? But I don't really think that you are. And, first of all, you have the communication skills and the verbiage to be able to keep up with the conversation. Do you understand what I'm
Right.
saying? And I'm telling you, man, I don't know. I'm not a dumb person. I'm gonna ask with no matter whatever you're saying, I'm going to get to the bottom of what you're saying. The same way that I know you would. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm going to get to the bottom of what you're saying. I'm not just going to take everything at face value. That's what so many people get so upset about me about. You know what I mean? Well, you don't do it like everyone else. You're argumentative and you're this, that, and the other. I'm like, and so I said, I want the answers. I don't. You just can't be listening. Who are you talking to in the first place? You have no idea. Is that a positive entity or is it a negative entity? You don't really know. They can tell you all day that they're the love of and God and archangel and whoever, but they could be, and what do you call it? They could be an archon. They could be evil. They could be all those other adjectives, the opposite of the other. Do you know what I'm saying? So, but I
Right.
don't think that I think, like I said, I think that you're going to say what you see and you're going to be honest about it. And even while
Yeah.
you're in the midst of it, do you realize you were still able to be argumentative? And that's the whole
What?
thing that people, it throws them off. They go, no, 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 that's not how it's supposed to go. That's not a saying. No, you don't. How do you know? Have you ever done it before? Why don't you do it? And then when you do it, and then you go, oh, okay, because I'm a rule breaker, dude. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna,
I get it. No,
you know.
absolutely. It's amazing. Well, what's so great is that it's like Maverick versus Maverick. We all have we're doing our own little thing and breaking rules all over the place. I love it. I think it's beautiful.
I think it'll be a good thing, and I think it'll
Well, I think it's going
fortify
to be,
because
yes, absolutely.
it'll fortify what you're doing on the other side because those questions and those things that you said, hey, listen, when I asked you about being mean, that was your question. Why are you
Oh
mean
yeah,
to the people? And
yeah. I
what did you
mean,
tell yourself? Oh, I just realized other people have to pay their bills too.
yeah.
Oh, well, everyone isn't a lie. And I stop you. I said, stop. I want you not just to think in your own mind. I want you to ask your guides, literally, what are they saying about how you can see someone else from their particular perspective and not just from what your ego is sitting here spouting? You're like, okay, I got to give that the appropriate amount of time for da 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 da. But I want you to shut up and let you put yourself aside and let the other ones talk. And then you did
Believe
it. It was
believe
good, dude. You were good. It was really good. And I was
believe
happy.
believe you me. When I tell people this, I say this with 100% certitude. It's not if it works. The question I only have is about how it works.
And that's what
So
we go to find
the
out
yeah,
first.
yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, believe you me, the things that I learned and the things that I experienced were revelatory, and many of them were provided me insight that I don't think that I had accessed before, and so that it's growing. It's just the what I always say is that I tell people, I go, look, I go, just let it be what it. I think it's like what you say about having taking what resonates and leaving the rest behind. I go, experience it. Tune into the session, watch it, get from it what you can, and know that this is something that people do, and there must be a reason that people are doing it. Then the questions about what you do with the material and how much faith you can put in it and how much you can rely on it or how much you should take it as metaphor and myth and insight and pointers. It's these are the questions. But what's amazing to me is that what's also great though is that I know is that all the time I deal with skeptics and I deal with true believers. And it's going to figure out that mystical mumbo jumbo thing is not going to work out, and you're going to come and you'll eventually realize that you firmly belong on the side. Where's going, yeah, you see that guy session that CW had? Yeah. Now he's going to shut the fuck up because he knows that aliens are real. Dude. You know what I mean? Aliens are real. Now CW knows. What does it all mean? Hey, it is what it
Will
is.
you
And
know
the
that
big
they're
world
real?
keeps running
See,
round and round.
this is the best part. We're going to get to the bottom of that first.
Hey, listen, let's go for it. Let's see what
We're
happens.
going to
I'll
get to the
dive. I
bottom of
don't
that
give a fuck.
first.
That's it.
That'll be
I'll go
our
to
first
Mars.
question.
I'm
How
not
did
scared of shit. I'll go to Mars. I'll go to Venus. I'll talk to Tyr. I'll confront the ghost of J-Essex haunting Atlantis. I don't care.
Yes. How does this work? And why does it work?
How does it work and why does it work?
And then then we just go from there.
And know that the answer is for entertainment purposes only. Let it resonate with you if it resonates with you. Don't name us in open court. We're not the ones who told you to do it.
Yeah, because on my thing, when they come to pay for it or whatever for my session, it says this is for entertainment purposes only. If you put any money into this account, that is, you know exactly why you're doing it.
Right.
You got to spell it
And,
out. Well,
and we got to do that, right?
you
Because
have
you
to.
have because if you don't, you end up getting yourself in a lot of trouble.
Exactly. And that's why who else would I better to do it with than with an attorney? So, he can't say, oh, well, Hank somehow hypnotized me. He said he put this thought in my head that I would do this later or whatever. I'm like,
That's it.
no, I got the whole thing on tape, brother. I never said
Oh,
nothing like that.
believe me, but it's none of it's going to save you, Hank. If anything happens to me, I'm pointing the finger right at you. He put the whammy on me. He put the whammy on me. What happened was,
You see
Your
it? You hear
Honor.
him? You hear him, you guys?
That's it. That's it. They really. So look, I think we're going to do great work together. I'm glad we had this conversation. Number one, we got figured. So you're going to give me the files, and I'll put them up on my channel. I guess is that how we're doing it?
Yes. Oh, you know what? I'm just going to Dropbox them to you. So nobody needs
That's
to
fine.
hear what your Dropbox is, do they?
I don't have a Dropbox. I don't know what that. I know what that is, but I don't have one.
I'll explain it to you after we get off of here. So,
Not a problem.
all right, guys, thank you very much for listening. I do
That's it.
appreciate it. Love and light.
And stay tuned for more. It's going to be a wacky journey.
That it is.
Forget it. Corey Good who? David Wilcox what? We're going to be destroying it. We got the real material over here.
No, that's what he said. But you guys know how I am. He ain't gonna get with it that easy.
Good luck.
It won't.
Bye.
We won't be. We're not here to debunk anyone, but we'll just bring forward whatever comes forward.
Go
And
go
I'll be
take
able
a
to
nap.
tell.
I'll
I
be
will be
back.
able to tell. See, CW when he went in the first time, he thought all kinds of things, but when it actually happened to him, it was a whole different ball game. Now tell
No,
the truth.
believe you me, it was 100% the exercise, the scientific endeavor was a test, right?
Yes.
The definition of a scientific testing is that you repeat the experiment and get similar or self-similar results consistently. And without it, like that famous box of crackers, it says what it is out of the 10. Believe you me, it worked. I mean, I'll tell you what, it worked for me. I got a hell of a lot out of it. And I look forward to our future sessions. I look forward to let's go to the moon. Let's take a look at the crystal
And
castles
think
on the
about
moon.
it. August, September, October, November, December. It took him 5 months to process this information before he was ready to have this conversation with me.
Well, maybe that's also scheduling. This guy, the Hank Jones is convinced he's at the center of it. He's like co-created the universe. He takes it to heart. He's like, no, absolutely. We're all gonna learn something, Hank.